Happy Monday, Thursday, Wednesday, Friday, Saturday. What day of the week is it at this point?
It's a day. That ends with a Y.
It's a game day.
Yeah.
Psychos and sickos unite for a new year, same dogs edition of the PHNX Suns pregame show, of course, brought to you by our friends over at Gila River Resorts and Casinos. You do you at Gila River Resorts and Casinos. Visit playatgila.com for more details. Happy New Year, everybody. It's Eric, Gil, the freckled mamba behind the Mac, making all of the magic happen. Hit the like button, hit that subscribe button, ring in the new year the right way, like everybody in chat. We got Kara, Aaliyah, Deborah, Matt to the power of Joe. We got Kev, we got Big Watts, we got Book's Journey. We got a lot of SMWs in the chat because the Phoenix Suns are starting off 2026 with a matchup against the always dangerous Sacramento Kings. Gil, before we get into basketball, how was your New Year's? First New Year in the Valley.
First New Year in the Valley. Good New Year. Feels weird to be 2 hours behind everybody else that I know. So
yeah.
they're like in the future. But other than that, no complaints at all.
Yeah, you adjusting to the kickoff times and the tip-off times and everything?
The hardest part was going back home and then coming back to it. Now I'm thrown off completely.
Yeah, that's fair enough. And I appreciate you taking time while your Demon Deacons are playing in the Duke's Mayo Bowl against Mississippi State, which is Arizona State's rival. Thanks for taking some time. Yeah, thank you. The opening kickoff was great. Look, I'm really excited for tonight's game, not just because, I was off of the last post-game show, which was unfortunately a damper way to end 2025, but I'm excited for this game and just for 2026 as a whole for the Phoenix Suns, because the great part of 2025 was the most recent part, but to be honest, 2025 was a very tumultuous up and down year for the Suns. Gil, 2026... it's looking pretty good.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's interesting you say it that way because that's exactly what I was thinking when you talked about it. Yeah, the first half of this season has been great. That part of 2025, awesome. But there's so much stuff that we can officially really flush and put away and forget it and actually leave it in 2025 and take the good from 2025, and we can flush the loss from New Year's Eve too, because that was in 2025.
That didn't even happen.
Didn't even happen. And now we can start off the year on the right note. A great opportunity, especially knowing what's looming beyond it. But tonight is a good opportunity. Yeah,
tonight is a really good opportunity for a couple of different reasons. We'll get into the Suns' must-win meter here in just a second. But first, let's carry over some baggage from 2025. Let's take a look at the injury report, of course, presented by our friends over at the Husband and Wife Law Team. If you've had a serious injury or been in an accident, call the Husband and Wife Law Team first at 602-783-8841, or you can visit their website at thehusbandandwifelawteam.com. Unfortunately for the Phoenix Suns, Jalen Green is still out. We knew that. Jordan Goodwin's available. That's good. Grayson Allen, 9th straight game with right knee injury management, has not played since the NBA Cup game December 10th against the Oklahoma City Thunder. Head coach Jordan Ott spoke about it pregame, says that he played 5-on-5 with the team in practice for the first time the other day, responded well. Now it's just about him stacking days. Unfortunately, Gil, he's been stacking a lot of days, missing games. He was questionable coming into tonight, but if he's not available on Sunday, that's going to be a rough one.
Yeah, it's concerning just a little bit, obviously, to hear like he's moving forward and he's been upgraded only to be downgraded again. But last time we were on here together, the hope was we'll see him in New Orleans. Well, we saw him sitting on the bench. And now we see him again sitting on the bench. And obviously, the fact that the team has been able to hold its own in his absence up to this point, you want to get him back to 100% and don't want this to be something that lingers. But obviously, this team, this lineup is much better when he's in it. And it just kind of feels like as soon as you take one step forward, get healthy, you feel like Devin Booker's getting back to himself. Well, Grayson Allen's not in the lineup. And we never really know exactly when it happened or what happened. So that makes it like a little more concerning.
We don't even really know what it is. You just said right knee injury management.
Yeah.
I'm going to be honest with you. I'm a little bit worried at this point. Grayson has now missed about 20-ish games so far this season. That's a lot of games. And he did do 5-on-5 yesterday. Coach pregame Kara, just to clarify, did play 5-on-5 yesterday. And it's just a response now, which is great. He wants to do another one. He says we're right there. This is all Jordan on Grayson Allen. So looking to do 5-on-5 again. Probably have a travel day tomorrow. See how he reacts. It'll probably be questionable. Pre-game on Sunday, he was questionable today. Hopefully he does play. But Gil, overall, if you want to look at the bright side of things, Jeff in the chat says only 2 unavailable, which is good. This is a team that is starting to get there in the right direction. And for the Kings tonight, they'll be missing one of their best scorers in Zach LaVine, who's out with a left ankle sprain. What are you looking for tonight from the guys that are playing against the Kings?
You know, something we've talked about when you play these lesser teams. Kings have the 3rd worst record in the NBA, but it's not about who they are, who's available, who's not available. It's about the Suns controlling the controllables and being who they are. We said this the first time the Suns played the Kings, which was actually my first pregame and game day show, and they took care of business because they did the things that they do, regardless of who's lining up against you. Kings on a second end of a back-to-back as well. So I think what I want to see from the Suns is clean basketball, kind of sticking to your principles, doing the things that make you successful, because if you do take care of business, you should take care of business, and it should be not an easy night for you because the Kings are feisty, but it should be a night where hopefully guys get some rest going into a tough stretch this weekend.
Well, and this is the second time they played the Kings, because opening night they played the Kings. Kings put up 70 and a half against them. And I think it's interesting, the dynamic of that game, because obviously it's kind of like this microcosm of the season, and we were talking about it after that game where it was the Suns get 70 hung on their head in the first half. They storm back in miraculous fashion in the second half, and they win that game. Never out, never down, always fighting. I think because of that first half, specifically with this team, the Suns take them seriously. The last time they played the Kings, your first post game, they just took care of business. They showed up, took care of business against the Kings, and that was that. Now, if you look at the couple of games that they've played against the lower-end teams in the NBA, the New Orleans Pelicans on the back-to-back, the Washington Wizards, those were all relatively close games. So I don't think the Suns are playing their best basketball as of late. Obviously, they lost to Cleveland. That game was only close for a little bit of time, ended up being a blowout for the majority of it. Gil, I think they're kind of starting, I don't want to say to hit a slide, but I think they're coming back down to earth about not having 2 of their 3 best offensive creators. There is a chance, even without Zach LaVine tonight, that there is enough firepower on this Kings team, Russell Westbrook, DeMar DeRozan, to put up some pretty big stats and offensively hit a pretty high point. I think this will be a nice tune-up game for Sunday, but only if they really approach it seriously, and hopefully make this a bigger blowout, a bigger lead than what you saw against Washington and New Orleans twice at the end of 2025.
Yeah, that's the thing that you pointed out. I think that it is a part of the attrition, right? Where it's like these guys are doing a lot. They're playing outside of themselves, thinking that the guys are coming back. And you just keep waiting for guys to come back. And Grayson's absence extends longer than we expect it to be. Jalen's absence longer than we expect it to be. And these guys, I think, are kind of like, man, how much longer do I need to carry this much weight that I'm being asked of? But, you know, the finding ways. And I think that, you know, you talk about the Pelicans, a feisty team who feisty physically too, but they've been playing a little bit better as of late. The Wizards have been playing a little bit better as of late. The Kings, looking at them, you know, watched a little bit of their game last night against the Celtics. They hung in there with Boston for the first 3 quarters, but then they, like you mentioned, firepower, they just ran out. They went 0 of 10 from 3 in the 4th quarter. So I'm curious to see how the Kings are going to punch second of a back-to-back. You mentioned DeRozan, you mentioned Westbrook. They're not as young as they once were. So I'll see how that is. But the Kings also have some young guys who are trying to prove themselves in this league. So that'll be interesting to see how they respond to a second of a back.
And obviously, Domantas Sabonis still out. He's been out basically the entire season. So he's out and Zach LaVine's out. You would consider those probably their 2 best players. Guys. But they've got some other young guys out there. They have a Malik Monk who was lighting up the Suns the other game. He obviously can be a bucket. Keegan Murray is somebody that can change a lot for them, hit some threes, presents a unique challenge for the Suns because they don't exactly have somebody who matches up with him size-wise, especially because Dillon Brooks will likely be on DeMar DeRozan, as those 2 have had a little bit of a history so far this season. I wonder if maybe that means some more Rasheer Fleming minutes tonight. That would be nice to see. You never really know. He's not solidly in the rotation. At the end of the day, you're right, though. It is the Kings, and that's why it's Suns must win tonight, at least for me. Let's take a look at what everybody has to say with the Suns must win meter. It's a high one, averaging out to a 9.3, one of our highest of the seasons. Espo and I going with a 10. Gil and Ayrton, you guys are at a 9. Steven, level-headed, measured as always, at an 8.5.
Thawed out too, by the way. It's not frozen anymore.
Yeah, not frozen anymore. Steven will be joining us post-game. Espo is on vacation, but he sent in his SMW and, of course, his bet and his score prediction. Gil, I want to know from you, what would it have taken for this to be a 10?
A little more sense of desperation, I think. But I mean, like 9, I think is as big as it could be with this team, with the Kings in my head. I think why it's so high, and probably why it's so high for all of us, is because this back-to-back coming this weekend, OKC Houston, which, newsflash, that's going to be difficult. You want to get this one because you don't want things to compound. You don't want to compound from Wednesday's loss as well. So I felt desperate putting it at a 10. No offense, but a nine is
literally could not care less.
Nine is my sense of desperation there anyway. So
I mean, I think it's got to be high, and it's not just Oklahoma City and Houston, which is that back-to-back. Which, by the way, Monday, January 5th, Gila River Resorts and Casinos, Wild Horse Pass. We will be there for a watch party. Espo is buying drinks. He'll be back from his brief little vacation. We'll all be there. Come hang out, watch Steven drink a quadruple whiskey neat, and talk a little basketball. But Oklahoma City and Houston, okay, and then at Memphis, after at Houston, which is a day off in between off of a back-to-back. Memphis is playing better basketball as of late, but still not a great team, but not a pushover of a team on the road. Then you're back home against New York, arguably the best team in the Eastern Conference. You host Washington. Okay, cool. 2 breathers here, but then you hit Miami, one of the most potent offenses in the league. That's on the road. Continuing the road trip, Detroit, New York, got Brooklyn in there, but then Philly, Atlanta. That's an entire East Coast road trip there before you come home and play Miami, Brooklyn, Detroit, Cleveland to end the month. You've got 3 games after tonight against teams that are on the lower end, and of course, of the Eastern Conference of Washington, Brooklyn, and then Brooklyn again. Other than that, you're playing the 2 top teams in the East, one of the most explosive offenses in the East, and then you're playing the Sixers, who are getting it together. They present some matchup nightmares for the Suns, and then Houston and Oklahoma City and Memphis as your Western Conference teams.
I thought we got past the hard part of the schedule.
We got through the hardest part of the schedule, but not the only hard part.
Yeah.
Now, to me, that's why tonight, stacking a win almost against these lower teams becomes almost for the rest of the season.
Yeah.
A really, really high number.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's kind of what we talked about, starting the calendar year off on the right note, and then reestablishing some of the habits that you got away from on Wednesday, because Wednesday was a little uncharacteristic of this team. They came out a little sleepy. They're losing open shooters and stuff like that, and they fought. They clawed back. That was what they always do. But it's one of those things where, excuses. But I feel like if that game started later in the day, you'd probably see a different version of that Suns team. But I also think that they recognize that, hey, we can't do that. We can't afford to do that. Even if you weren't going to beat that Cavs team, you shouldn't show up like that. So I think that tonight, listen, hey, the Kings are in town. We're probably a little upset with the effort that we put forth on Wednesday. And that's one thing this team has done really well. They respond. They respond to not putting their best foot forward. They respond to getting embarrassed. Whatever it is, they respond. So I'm excited to see their response tonight.
I think that shows the first game of the season, kind of tying it back to the Kings. Now, obviously, there's some talk about it in chat. Hopefully, somewhere around mid-January, you're going to be getting Jalen Green back. That should hopefully be a good boost for that time period. But you'll have to adjust, as Tim Legler told us a couple of weeks ago. So it'll be interesting coming up. But of course, for tonight, what are some keys to the game? Our guy Steven's unfrozen, and he's back giving his keys as he's out at the morgue. He'll be joining us post-game, calling in. Key number 1, dominate the turnover margin. Key number 2, keep Sacramento off of the free throw line. And key number 3, dictate with defense. Keys 1, 2, and 3, which one stands out the most to you?
I feel like I always highlight the turnover situation, which is big. It's important for this Suns team to take care of the ball, and the Kings actually only turned the ball over 9 times yesterday. But I'm going to go keeping Sacramento off the line. DeMar DeRozan, we talked about his back and forth with Dillon Brooks. I remember that first game, I was very complimentary of Isaiah Livers and his discipline, not going for DeMar DeRozan's pump fakes. When you talk about a Kings team that doesn't have that much firepower, they're probably going to be tired. They had to travel here from Northern California last night. They can score with the clock stop. They can score and get some breathers like that. That's going to help them hang around longer than they probably should in this game. So keep your hands to yourself. Don't bite for those pump fakes, and don't allow them to get points at the free throw line, because their offense is going to have a tough time churning out production otherwise.
I mean, when you saw these Pelicans games and why it was closer is because the Suns were playing sloppy. They were turning the ball over a ton. I think they might have still won the turnover margin. I'm not 100% sure because the Pelicans were also playing bad basketball. But I think that if they're able to take care of it, plus the Kings have 2 different types of good players. They have a couple players that are good in the half court, mainly DeMar DeRozan, who's really good at operating at this slow pace, post up. But a guy like Russell Westbrook, a guy like Dennis Schroeder, a guy like Malik Monk, Keegan Murray even a little bit as well. These are guys that can really thrive when the pace is faster and they're playing in transition. And the Suns' transition defense has sometimes left a little to be desired.
Yep.
So it'll be interesting to see how exactly they do respond. Now, tonight, Devin Booker will be wearing the new Nike Book 2s. Those officially came out today. It sounds like Ayrton was able to snag a pair. Is it just the black and orange colorway that's available right now?
Yeah, that's the one that came out today. He's dropping some merch, like apparel, later in the month.
Merch is nice, too.
Merch is nice. And then the Phoenix ones, the bright orange ones, those are coming out towards the end of the month.
He's wearing a nice black and white pair to warm up for pregame. I'm interested. I want to hear your review on them. Are you going to hoop in them, or are you just going to wear them?
Those are going to be basketball shoes.
Okay. They look more like basketball shoes.
I agree.
I definitely want to hear what the review is, because I like hooping in my books. They're a little heavy, so I'm wondering if maybe they can figure that out. But congrats to everybody who was able to pick up the books. Unfortunately, I don't think you and I were cool enough.
I'll try again for the orange ones, though.
See, I'm not a big fan of the all orange shoe.
Really?
No, I'd like a nice white base with the orange, or he wore these PEs that were white with the purple and orange, which of course they're just PEs, which means we're not going to get it. I hate that. Mario Not Bros 2, this is a quick question. How do I RSVP for the watch party on Monday? When you go to the website, it says RSVP for free, but I don't know how to do it. Let me go on the website really quick, because I'm going to be completely honest with you, Mario. I don't really RSVP to these things. I know you got to go phnx.com/events. I just got to show up.
Yeah.
So as I
follow your lead.
Yeah, there you go. As I'm looking this up and looking up to you, Gil. Any other keys for you tonight against the Sacramento team besides the ones that Steven shared?
Yeah, I think the big thing is kind of doing what you do. And I know like this is very general to say that, but I think it's important to remember that this Kings team is a little desperate. You know, like there are a lot of guys on their team, young guys like Max Reno, who are trying to make names for themselves in the league. So staying true to the principles, the scout that you know, knowing what those guys like to do. And Reno's an interesting matchup for Mark Williams in the interior, because he is a floor spacing big man. And I know we've talked about Mark Williams having mixed results against guys like that. Now, Reno is not a guy like Chet Holmgren or anything like that, but what can Mark do? I think getting Mark involved will be really important. He didn't have his finest hour against the Cavs on Wednesday, so I really want to see him respond, which we'll talk about a little bit with my picks and bets for tonight, but I want to see a little more from Mark Williams tonight, taking advantage of that matchup, because you got a rookie matchup against you who isn't necessarily the most physical presence. So playing with force, especially Mark Williams, seeing more from the big man rotation. Would like to see more from Oso. He didn't have the greatest game either.
I don't think anybody really had the greatest game.
Yeah,
like Colin had an okay game. Book had an okay game.
Yeah.
Jordan Goodwin would like to see you shoot a little bit better.
Yeah.
Pal. I mean, the offensive rebounding for Jordan Goodwin has been out of this world, so he's continued to be a positive, but 1 of 11 from the field. 15 rebounds, though, and 8 offensive
I can't wait to see him and Russell Westbrook have a who's a better rebounding guard.
Yeah, they're going to go at it.
It's going to be fun.
Statistically speaking, the best offensive rebounding guard as far as offensive rebound percentage in the league is Jordan Goodwin.
Of course.
It's him and Keldon Johnson are really the only two that are.
And Keldon Johnson, 15. I wouldn't even.
I don't think he's a guard.
They literally call him big body. They call him big. No. Jordan Goodwin is 6'3", 215. Like, nah.
Yeah, Jordan Goodwin is
that's
a
real guard.
He is a point guard.
Yeah.
I think everybody really could play a better game than they did.
Yeah.
Than on New Year's Eve. Dillon Brooks, 20 points in the first half, no points in the second half. Short not post game said that they need to find a better way to get him the ball. I think he's going to be pretty fired up. Royce 1 of 6 from deep against Cleveland. Look, I know that this team is the no excuses team. They're the hustle team, and usually that is something that you say, okay, well, let's not make excuses. Let's only talk about they show up every single night. Gil, these guys are human.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
End of a 4-game road trip against a Cleveland team that was very motivated and, for a very rare occasion, pretty much fully healthy.
Yeah.
All of their stars played, which there's a big difference for them when all of their guys play versus when they don't. And like the Jordan Ott, Kenny Atkinson thing, Kenny Atkinson calling them out pregame, saying the Suns have been better than them.
Yeah. He lit a fire.
It was one of those losses that you're like, you know what?
Yeah,
you chalk it up.
I understand. But
then you come to tonight and you're like, you know what? They need to win.
They got to.
So Mario, here's the thing. I have no clue, because I'm with you here. Mario, I'm on our website right now, and it says RSVP for free, and I'm just clicking around, and there's nothing to RSVP. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to reach out to people, and then I'll shoot you a DM on Twitter, because I'm sorry about that. You can also just show up too. You can just show up.
We'll be there
as well. If you want to be entered into the raffle, literally just show up and be like, I'd like to be entered into the raffle. Mario, we'll enter you into the raffle. I'll vouch for you. It'll be awesome to see you in person if you're able to make it out there. Sorry about that. I'll talk to our website team. Oh, that's classic. That is classic. Look, I know we have some more basketball to talk about tonight. I really want to get into bets, but I'm going to hold it off because your boy's on fire. Ooh. Your boy's getting closer to that 0 mark. But again, just to talk about, thank you. I do appreciate that. It's a little hot in here too. I think continuing to look at Devin Booker's game is going to be interesting as we go into 2026. 32 points in 33 minutes against the Cavs. Now, obviously not the most effective 32 points as that came in a loss. It was, classic beginning of his career, Devin Booker. But if he is able to shake out of this slump that he's been in, specifically shooting from 3, while the Suns are still missing Grayson Allen and Jalen Green, that might be the much needed boost the offense needs in order to sustain it until then.
Yeah, I would like to see him pick up where he left off in the second half of Wednesday's game. The first half was one to forget, didn't score in the first quarter, looked a little out of sorts. And it's like something changed. It was like he took his core shorts off again in the second half.
He's like, I took my underwear off. Yeah. I'm just wearing the shorts.
Playing freely. But yeah, I think it was 26 in the second half. And I kind of said 26 to go into 26. That's I see the vision there.
Yeah.
But he went to a couple things that showed me that he's looking to get more comfortable. And I said it post game. I don't think he's all the way back yet. I think he's maybe like 75, 80% of fully being booked, fully being able to tap into that Armani mode. But he had those moments. He had a step back 3 in the corner. He had a couple pull-ups in the mid-range. He went to his transition pull-up. And I think the sign that it'll be all the way back is when he hits that transition pull-up. Because we've seen him go for it a couple times.
He wants it.
He wants it. And we just haven't gotten it. Once he gets it, I think that it's like, all right, I'm back. So that's what, and again, I'm not calling it a get-right game for him specifically. But it's an opportunity because I don't think the Kings are necessarily known for their perimeter defense.
No.
It's an opportunity to get more comfortable for when it does get more difficult, because for a player or a scorer of his caliber, you see the ball go in. It doesn't matter who's in front of you at that point. So just seeing the ball go in more, I think.
I think we've seen that natural progression up recently.
Right.
It's felt like he's kind of snapped out of it. The Golden State back-to-back is really when we saw that first, and he's been pretty good since then, but he also has a really high standard that we hold him to. And that 3-ball, Devin Booker, out of players who have taken minimum 100 attempts from deep this season, do you want to know where he ranks among the league's worst shooters?
I'd say he's probably the bottom 10, bottom 15.
He's literally the 10th worst three-point shooter at 30.1%.
But also not good. That's not good.
No, it's not good at all. There's a conversation going on in our chat about Oso Ighodaro. Now, Oso Ighodaro, really bad game against the Cavaliers. 21 minutes, 0 points, 0-4 from the field, 1 rebound, 1 assist, 1 turnover. That was the first real Oso Ighodaro stinker in a while. Do you want to know who has the best net rating on the Suns this year? It's Oso Ighodaro. How do you feel like his play has been going into 2026, and what does he need to do tonight to kind of get back on the right track?
Well, first, I think Wednesday was just an awful matchup for all of the front court guys, as we saw with the numbers. They could have played better, but I think part of the reason why
combined
they played
2 points between Mark and Oso.
They could have played much better. But I think for him, it's just consistency, and I think consistency beyond the numbers, but like no lapses on defense and kind of being in a better state of mind, because what we've seen other defenses do is like kind of force him to make a play a lot of times from the top of the key, knowing that that's going to happen and knowing what to do in those moments. So it's just growth. I think where he's at right now is pretty standard for a second-year player that was taken where he was taken, but the highs and lows, just because of how much this team depends on him, hit a little bit harder.
Yeah, I think he's a fine player.
Yeah.
He's not a superstar.
No.
He's not a starting center. He's got a really unique skill set. We saw that flash against Washington when he took Alex Sarr on the perimeter, crossed him over, made a play, and then guarded CJ McCollum on the other end. He's fine. He can't score to save his life. You're right, wow factor. But to be honest with you, when everybody else is also not hitting for you in that game offensively, it's hard for Oso to kind of feed off of that.
Yeah.
Now, somebody who was hitting in that game is my GOAT, Jamari Bouye, who had 18 points, 7 to 12 from the field. Hopefully he can continue his good streak tonight, and hopefully I can continue my good streak tonight. Let's take a look at our pre-game picks presented by our friends over at Bet365. Sign up, use code PHNX365, deposit 10, place a bet for 5, get $150 in bonus bets. If your bet wins or loses, bonus bets can be used on the spread, totals, player props, futures, and more. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. You must be 21 plus and physically located in Arizona. If you're someone who knows a gambling problem and wants help, call 1-800-NEXT-STEP, text NEXT-STEP to 52342, or visit PromGambling.az.gov. Let's take a look at the standings. Look, I might talk a lot of shit. I'm still in last. I'm at a negative 51.25, the only one in the negative.
It's decline.
But I don't know if you squint real hard, you see there's only one box that has the fire symbol next to it, and that's mine. Nobody talks better shit when they're down than me. I've hit 2 bets in a row. And I'm catching up to Espo here. He's at a plus 30, Ayrton at plus 101.50, and then Gil still at a plus 132.12. Really riding high
on the
off of your first couple of games in here. Gil, let's go ahead and get to Espo's pick first. He did still send in his pick. He said, I'm on vacation, so let me just throw whatever at the wall, see what sticks. A boosted parlay from Espo. Devin Booker, 25 plus points. DeMar DeRozan, 20 plus points. Dillon Brooks, 20 plus points. Colin Gillespie, 15 plus points. Russell Westbrook, 10 plus points. And Maxime Renaud, 10 plus points, all at a plus 1,800.
He just predicted the entire game, didn't he?
Pretty much. I love he was like, I hate it when you bet on the other team, Eric. Meanwhile, DeMar DeRozan bet, Maxime Renaud bet. You bet Russell Westbrook in there too. Russell Westbrook bet.
Sure.
I love when I'm hypocritical. Gil, what are you putting your money on tonight?
Yeah, it's really easy. 5, 10, 15, 20. Russell Westbrook,
I like
5
this.
plus
This
rebounds. Mark Williams, 10 plus points. DeMar DeRozan, 15 plus points. And Colin Gillespie over 19.5 points and assists combined. Do your job, fellas.
Plus 390 with a 50% profit boost.
I don't hate it.
Not bad. Hello. Everybody just talking shit about me in the chat. That's fine. Sean says, Eric being like Booker talking crap while on the Suns, like on the Suns losing teams. Hello says, Eric's just so used to being last. It's why he's good at shit talking while down. I hate to remind people, I won last year.
Ooh.
I hate to remind people that I don't know what it's like to lose at this game in the long term.
Did you get a duck trophy too for it?
No, I didn't. I didn't get a duck trophy for it like Steven got for his auto dominance.
Until it got thrown over there.
Yeah, Ayrton, what are you putting your money on tonight?
I got the Goodwin game. I told you guys about it yesterday or last post game that I was going to take this, and I did. Jordan Goodwin over 12.5 points and rebounds. Think he's going to get well over that, just rebounds alone. Jordan Goodwin over 1.5 stocks. Colin Gillespie hitting over 2.5 3-pointers tonight. And then Mark Williams grabbing an easy 7+ boards. That's all at 575 with the 50% profit boost.
Hey, how about our friends over at Bet365? Just handing out a 50% profit boost?
Just free money.
50%?
Just giving us free money.
They usually, see, look.
Start your year off right.
They're already generous. They usually give you like a 30 on a same game parlay. And they said, you know what? New year.
Here's 50.
Here's 50. And guess what? Here's how I'm going to use it. This is how I get in the positive, baby. Devin Booker, give me 25 plus points. Mark Williams, give me 10 plus rebounds. Jordan Goodwin, over 6.5 assists and rebounds. He's going to get that on offensive rebounds alone. Colin Gillespie over 2.5 3-pointers made, plus 600, plus a 50% profit boost. That would put me $50 over the neutral, 0. So I'd be 50 in the positive.
Listen, I'm rooting for this.
I
When I was doing this, I wasn't cooling you off. I was fanning the
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah, you're welcome.
I appreciate that. Thank you for rooting for me because I'm such a sore loser.
I would love to see all
for
this
you
in the
guys.
game. That'd be great.
Yeah, I would love to see. You know what? You're right. Rising tide lifts all boats. I feel like that might. This is okay. I'm just gonna say it because I'm gonna jinx it. I feel like that might be my best bet of the season. Like, I feel like that's a really solid bet for value.
Yes, I love that.
Like, Devin Booker, 25 plus points. That's not crazy.
Yeah,
that's not crazy.
I gotta stop this. I gotta stop this, Gil. You're being too nice with this.
No, that's a bad bet. That's not a bad bet.
I still want to win.
The way that you react to our bets, I'm going to tell you that that's a terrible bet. That might be the worst bet that I've ever seen.
They're good bets. Well, you guys have good bets. I say it's a good bet.
I think no one roots on the downfall of the PHNX Suns podcast bettings than Eric Ruby.
Oh, for sure.
No one does it more.
I literally just said, I appreciate you being nice because I'm not the same way. No. Sean saying it's going to miss by 1. Trust Eric. Last second, like me. Look, I want to be like you, big bro, but I don't want to be like you in that way, okay? Let's see what our friends over at Bet365 have the line at for tonight. Suns Kings at home, minus 13.5 on the spread. That's got to be the biggest spread of the season for the Suns, right? Minus 750 on the money line, plus 13.5 for the Kings, plus 525 on the money line. But that doesn't matter. What matters is, do they actually take care of business? This is what we think happens tonight. We're all unfrozen and we're all taking the Suns. How ironic. 125-104 for Steven, 120-105 for Espo, 121-107 for you, Gil, 122-110 for me. All of us having them score in the 120s.
Dang, we should have taken the Suns team total on our bets. Next time.
Then they might not hit it.
Yeah.
Final thoughts, Gil, on what is a Suns must win and hopefully ringing in the new year, hitting their 20th win of the season.
TCOB, take care of business. Let's get a big Devin Booker game.
That's what I like to hear. Hit that like button. Hit that subscribe button. Gil, the Freckled Mamba, and myself will be back here for postgame with, of course, Steven calling in from the morgue for the first time in what feels like forever. Haven't seen him on the show since last year. And I missed all of you as well on New Year's Eve. Spam SMW on your way out of here. Become a member like Sean, like Matt to the power of Joe, like Freckled Mamba, like Kara, like Deborah, like everybody in the chat. Get access to exclusive emojis. We're working on getting the Suns must win emoji back. And Meatloaf, thank you for believing in me, even if you're just trying to jinx me. You can follow the show at PHNX_Suns. That's on Twitter. That's on Instagram. You can follow the Freckled Mamba at Freckled Mamba. You follow Gil at Gil McGregor _ You follow me at DRIKRUBY. We'll see y'all for hopefully a happy postgame.
We all silly like the mayor.